Hello, everyone. I am Sophia Ring, SP Saturn the 7th, and you are watching Anime Egotists. Enjoy!
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where actually Luffy would let us on his ship.
Yeah, he would just say Nakama, and we really wouldn't have much of a choice.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like he would be nice to us because that's just the type of person he is. But, anyways, my name's Alex, and yes, I do still have my original pet from Mega Man.
Nice. I have mine somewhere as well. And I'm Richard.
That is correct. And we like anime of many different genres. Well, for Richard, it's just isekai, and for me, well, to be fair, for me, it's mainly just slice of life. But there are a lot of different genres of anime. Hey, and I'd like to think that everybody can find at least one anime from every genre that they could like. That being said, not every anime is in the genre you think it's going to be.
Exactly. Even the way we've described some animes, you'd think they fall into one category, but there's a good chance that they seem to fall into another. I'm really interested to see which ones you have on this list.
Yeah, that's right, because today we are talking about the anime that we would like to see in other genres. Now, that doesn't mean the anime that we're talking about is bad per se, but in some cases, maybe seeing it in a different sort of style or take, whether it's more dramatic, more comedic, just anything, it could make it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, we'll go into details, I think, as we come across the different styles and exactly what we mean by that. Because some of mine have elements of other anime, but have a specific one that this is kind of their main one. So we'll get to that when we get to it, I believe, though.
That is correct. Do you mind starting us off?
Sure. So I actually finished Showbits the other day, and it is really enjoyable. I put it on my list though because it could have been a really good cyberpunk fully sci-fi show rather than more of the slice of life that it is. Nothing wrong with it being slice of life. It actually was really entertaining for a slice of life. But they bring in the two kind of edgy cyberpunk style characters at the end,
Oh, yeah.
and they're in the story for absolutely no reason. There is zero reason for them to be in this story at all. And so there could have been, now again, I haven't seen, like, I know you said there were OVAs, so maybe one of them has a bit more detail, but
No.
okay, then yeah, they just, if it had, I guess if it had embraced them more about them wanting to destroy Chi, maybe that could have been part of it. But this could have had a really interesting, for me, sci-fi cyberpunk kind of ending. I understand why they didn't, because it was a slice of life with sci-fi elements. It's kind of my viewpoint.
Yeah, I kind of agree and disagree in some ways because I've thought about this for a while. Because on the one hand, and it does kind of seem like the sci-fi stuff at times is the more interesting aspect of it, and that's the part that more or less gets you thinking. On the other hand, though, Clamp, the series that was the studio that works on this sort of thing, was kind of known for a lot of, at this point, a lot of like sad stuff, a lot of depressing stuff towards the end. So in a sense, maybe they were deciding, oh, well, maybe we'll go with something different at this time. And considering some of the super dark stories from Chobits, I'm not completely sure how well that works out in some areas, but I don't know. I think part of the thing about the slice of life stuff is when stuff does start happening to these characters, you start to feel bad for them. So while I don't necessarily think from the start it could have started with the cyberpunk stuff, I do think maybe a little bit earlier or in the style of like some sci-fi or other elements. I think it could have added some intrigue to it.
Yeah, as I said, if they had, even if it had just been like those two characters got more development, like they attack the kind of group with Hideki, Motosuba, and all that, then that are all and just trying to get Chi or prevent her from activating whatever the big program is to give them emotions. I really don't know what that part was, but
Yeah.
yeah, just if they had involved them a bit earlier where they actually were interacting rather than, I mean, they only interact with the cast kind of the final episode. So
And it's kind of revealed that one of them doesn't really want to do this. It's just like, oh, dang. So this one girl wants to stop you guys. I'm going to stop her. So we're good now, right? Like, well, you've been spying on us. So no.
But this is not a knock. I really did enjoy the series, especially kind of once you get to that halfway point in the series, it really starts picking up and becoming a lot more entertaining, in my opinion. Now, again, slice of life isn't my style, though.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I take it you watched the dub?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I don't really have a preference. It was just to make conversation, I guess.
As I said, it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I can understand that. But yes, I co-sign a little more of a sci-fi edge to Chobits. But like I said, I enjoy the slice of life stuff.
All right. So your first one?
Okay, this really, I didn't put this as a specific series, but it's kind of just encapsulates everything. I want Yu-Gi-Oh, but in a more fantasy-like genre.
So like if kind of a sequel, so we kind of see like ancient Egypt, so maybe like I don't know, like them using dual monsters and shadow games in like medieval Europe or something. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Not a bad idea, but that's not what I was going for. Because look, I'm not the biggest fan of Master Duels. I find it kind of tedious at times. But I will say one of the things I love is that there's this little story mode where you basically look at different archetypes of Yu-Gi-Oh monsters and you kind of learn their story. Like you learn about gladiator beasts and Watt monsters and just a whole bunch of other stuff. I really would love a series if the series went with a more fantasy aspect, if we learned more about these different types of archetypes, because a lot of them have very interesting stories. As much as people dump all over normal monsters, if you read the description, you get stories for a lot of these. So I'd like to think that maybe in some cases a more fantasy like scenario would get some interesting stories with these cards.
That could be interesting. Yeah, I know I've seen a YouTuber that's he uses the cards and tells the story. Something he uses pretty much like I know he's done like Guilford the Lightning, told his story. He's done Buster Bladers in his story, and then even some of the magic cards, so which have absolutely no story, but the cards, if you look at the images, tell a story of. I think one is like a fallen angel almost, so it's kind of an interesting idea. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, not to mention the only kind of downside I do see is that I do see it being a case of, oh well, let's give Dark Magician some stuff. Okay, now Dark Magician again. I'm like, all right, we don't have to stick with the same ones. We could go for stuff that for some cards that don't get as much love, but that's just anime in general. But I'd be willing to do it. I'd be willing for it. I'd be cool with it.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. I mean, the Dark Magician could get like one where he's teaching all the different magician girls or something, but other than that, I would hope that they would tell other monster stories, like pretty much like the ones that are considered lesser in how prominent they are in the series.
Heck, I'd love for Dark Magician and the Magician of Black Chaos to have a rivalry going, but at the same time, they find a way to work together really well.
Yeah, like both have the same master or something that taught them magic, or
Something
and
like that.
just
Just and they find different ways, but their magic does seem different in some ways. But just throwing out ideas like that. Overall, just a more fantasy based series about the Yu-Gi-Oh cards themselves, rather than the people playing with the cards.
kind of interesting. So kind of it could almost take place in that the world. I know it's not the best season, but the Rising of the Dragons Dual Monsters world that we saw.
Something like that. Yeah.
All right, I'll co-sign. It sounds like an interesting idea. I'd be interested to see how they would pull it off.
All right.
All right, so my next one.
Go for it.
So this one used to have a lot of this element and style in it, but the last part, it's kind of gone away and really embraced its shonen roots. One Piece as an adventure series. So
Okay.
if you think back to some of the even I'm never not always the filler arcs are not always great, but yeah, there's just such a like unique world with so many different characters and the ways of things drawn. I mean, just a anime based on exploring the One Piece world and discovering all the different peoples, the different animals, the different islands, and just because that used to be a big embrace, especially at the start of the series, but it's kind of gone away where it's like, okay, let's go to the next island so Luffy can fight the next big bad, and it's become very much a heavy shonen. So there's not as much adventure, in my opinion, as it used to have in the series. I kind of wanted to get your feeling on that.
Okay, so I do agree. A lot of my favorite parts of One Piece is them traveling, not necessarily the fights. Well, not to say the fights are bad, but just to say, hey, I do miss the adventure aspect of it. But would that be a certain arc of the story? Would it follow certain characters the same? What are you going at?
I mean, it can almost be like the first thing that comes to mind is like a Rumbar Pirates, so Brooks' original crew,
Yeah.
and their kind of story. I mean, they can still fight some other pirates, but they're kind of from an era that we don't necessarily like. They're the only group of pirates. They were before Roger and his time, so it's kind of like, okay, there's not a big name, so they don't have to have these big battles. It could be exploring the Grand Line, and then they might fight other pirates, but that doesn't have to be the big focus. It could just be exploring, and in this case, a musical almost.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. You know, all this time you've been dumping on the One Piece rap, and now you're finding a way to embrace it in a sense. That's character development.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, we need Brooke and the guy who made the One Piece rap doing. You have to admit, it would be kind of funny if they found a way to do a collaboration together. It's like, oh, who is this guy? It's like, oh, I don't know, but I like his music.
It'd be interesting. I would be for sure, but I think just yeah, at this point, it would need to be like its own side series. But One Piece world kind of being explored, discovering the different islands. 'Cause there's so many unique, and they talked about it, but then never really went back to where there's a winter island, summer, spring, fall islands. There was that aspect, and they kind of went away from that, where they're all just kind of the same. So I'd be interested to see what they could do.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, I can co-sign. As someone whose favorite parts of One Piece were the exploring and looking for treasure and all this other stuff, uh, I would like to maybe get more in the way of back to basics with it. I don't think it would hurt the series in the slightest. Maybe people could realize, oh wow, we missed this.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about how there's multiple paths through the Grand Line, so you don't see every island. So you could see a handful of the same islands, but some new ones as well that haven't been explored for us.
Yeah, heck, we could maybe get Shank's perspective when he was younger, just like how much has the world changed since while he was doing his journey as opposed to Luffy and the others.
Exactly. There's a ton of characters that this could follow, and just exploring, and as I said, just tone down the shonen battle parts and focus on the discovering new islands and like the pirate, like be a pirate anime, discovering treasure and stuff.
Yeah, basically.
All right. So your next one?
Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a weird one, but I want you to hear me out for it.
Okay.
Okay, Psyche K, but I want it to be more of like a mystery slash supernatural sort of thing.
I could see it, but I kind of want to know what you were thinking in this.
Okay, so fun little fact for people who watch Psyche K: each character's name kind of coincides with a different power. So I guess what I was thinking is, like hypothetically or something, maybe it's a setting where Psyche only has like one specific power, or his powers aren't that strong. Meanwhile, the rest of the cast kind of corresponds with their own power. Like Hyra's power is would be dealing with fire because he's very hot blooded, that sort of thing. So maybe it could be a case of him basically trying to solve mysteries that would save the world or save the town, but he's still trying his best not to divulge too much of his powers. But at the same time, though, it's a case of, dude, we all kind of have a different power, and each one of those powers could coincide with a different mystery or arc or something like that. I don't know. It's not the deepest, but I just thought, like, it would be kind of funny if everybody kind of had a power that corresponded to their name. So just something like that.
Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting. they could still keep that comedic element that
Absolutely.
Psyche K had. That it would just. I'm just trying to think of like what kind of mysteries. It may have only have lasted like one season or something, but in this form. But I think it would still be a really interesting idea. Something they could consider doing, even if they don't do it with those characters. Something similar could be created easily, I think.
Yeah, well, Psyche's name is based on psychic. Nendo's name named telekinesis, so I guess Nendo can start flying now, which is terrifying. And Kaido has teleportation, etc., etc. Each one of these could kind of correspond onto their personalities because it kind of does do that in a sense. Like we said, keep the comedy obviously, but just in the case of I don't know, it would be kind of cool if they could like solve mysteries. It's kind of like Mike Tyson mysteries, except I feel like most of these would have happy conclusive endings as opposed to whatever the heck happened on at the end of those episodes.
Like Tyson punches the client or something.
Something like something like that. But I don't know. Oh, is it the most exciting option? Not necessarily, but I don't know. I just thought it was different.
No, but it sounds like I mean that really sounds like something that someone could create, and it could be a very successful 13 to 24 episode anime that kind of introduces a new character for each kind of mystery until we get to a point where they have to solve the big mystery for the whole season or something.
Yeah, and they could all work together, power, friendship, heart of the cards, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's Psyche with a more mystery or supernatural type of flair.
All right, I'll co-sign it. It definitely sounds interesting. All right, so my next one, I've mentioned this anime a while back, and you said you were kind of interested in it. It was Shinobi no Itoki, but I this is actually what I thought I was getting into when I first started the series. I thought it was going to be a there are ninjas in the world, but it's like slice of life. They're just trying to kind of live their uh, kind of a normal life, at, like learning to be a ninja and all that. So I really wish that it had actually stuck with that looking back on it, because that would have been really entertaining. I think there's just it's you still have like all the kind of normal interactions, but then you have like they have just this background of them being ninjas, being trained to use these different ninja tools, and it being a bit more modern than Naruto is usually portrayed. So just I think it could have been really interesting, but when they kind of that only lasted like the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then it started shifting into more of a battle anime between two clans. So I think this could have been really cool with a slice of life, almost school anime.
Do they still focus on do they focus on stealth at all in this anime as ninjas?
A little bit like they use like when they're like from what I remember, there's a scene where one or two people are trying to infiltrate a building, and they actually use like the air ducts and monitor the cameras and use like black suits that can't help camouflage them at night. So there's at least they're not in orange jumpsuits.
Yeah, that's fair. If anything, it sounds like with slice of life stuff, we could see more. And you said school based stuff. We could see people starting off as not very competent, and as the series progresses towards the end, they could be a lot better at their jobs. Now, I is this anime just completely done? It's over, or is it just like, oh, it looks like just season one is over?
It's pretty much done. I mean, they left it possibility, I guess, for season two, trying to catch the uncle, but other than that, no, there's not really any reason to continue. The but yeah, as I said, like the first 4 or 5 episodes, it really feels like it's going to be a slice of life. Hey, we're all learning to be ninja. We're coming from different clans at this ninja academy, and then it kind of goes away from there. And some of the characters that are introduced just don't get brought back up. So that's part's disappointing. I think it could have been a really good slice of life school, like learn to be ninja story.
Yeah, I can definitely co-sign. Part of me always did kind of wonder, and or with the like, I haven't seen the show, but you brought up comparisons to Naruto a little bit, so maybe just a case of when it comes to Naruto, a lot of the Academy stuff never really got that much information on it. Heck, people have been saying if we get a Naruto video game, we want to do stuff in the Academy, and I'm like, I'm excited, but I also would wonder how would they do that because that could get boring super quick. But based on the way you're describing it, I think it might be able to work.
Yeah, I mean that could be interesting, but would have to probably do a another video on a Naruto video game that we want. Just maybe update it from where we're at now.
Oh yeah, well, I'm on board with that, but also I'm kind of terrified because they never listen to us. But what I can co-sign with your show.
Uh, so your next one?
All right, this one I know this isn't your cup of tea, and I understand that, but I still think it might be able to work in some cases.
Okay.
God Eater, but as a somewhat chibi spinoff.
I could see it because that's the type of anime that gets those chibi stories.
Exactly. Especially with God Eater 2, because it's, look, a lot of horrible stuff is happening. People are losing their lives, people are having to kill the people they love in order to save everybody else. But the characters are so damn goofy. There's a character named Emil who's basically tries to act like a pompous royal knight, but he's kind of utterly pathetic. In a sense, you could argue that doesn't really work in an Attack on Titan type show like this. So just the characters going through more ridiculous adventures, you could still keep the origami and everything, except that unlike Attack on Titan, they're not stealing people's hamburgers or whatever the hell happened in Attack on Titan Junior High. You could make it a little more ridiculous, but I just think I don't know. I think one of the things I love about the Rock Lee show is, with all seriousness, it actually did make the characters feel like friends rather than just comrades. So just something like that in a more comedic take for God Eater.
I could see it again. I've never played the games or seen the anime, so I don't know all the interactions, but from what I saw, it's very much that they're just an army working together. You can make friends and stuff in the game, but it doesn't always progress to the anime. So this would be interesting to show, hey, that they actually do like each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And also just I wasn't going to necessarily say a school setting, but there are times where they actually do study stuff up together. It could even be a case of we have to study for this test. I'm like, dude, we're fighting the fields every single day. I don't think we need testing anymore. But I have to know this because I'll get grounded and the prom's tomorrow. No, you know what? Move on. No, no. You guys do this. I'm not in this episode today. Goodbye.
Okay. As I said, I'll co-sign. I don't know the series well enough to really know what like how God, a chibi series. Yeah, that would be interesting. Because I hear Attack on Titan fans of Attack on Titan really liked Attack on Titan Junior High as a comedic version.
I thought Attack on Titan Junior High was the canon version.
Oh, for us, yes, but I know that other fans don't believe that. It's the series that seems like it's on season 4, part 15.
Our version actually got a finish. So what you gonna do? But that's it. God Eater, the more comedic chibi style thing, it might not work, but you never know.
All right. So my next one.
Go for it.
All right. So I kind of took this one and embraced pretty much season 1 of this series, which so it's Mega Man NT Warrior as a sports slash tournament series. So it focuses on net battling as a sport and this. So it doesn't necessarily have to follow Mega Man, but it could be the Net One Grand Prix a few years later or something. Someone's trying to battle and they have their Net Navi, and it's learning program advances, getting new battle chips, trying to improve their strategy for the tournament to win the grand prize. And I think that could be really interesting. They had, as I said, season 1 was pretty much that was the big focus until the end of that, where it became that's kind of where it changed to okay, now we're internet spy slash international police slash fighting the dark navies now.
If anything, I kind of feel like this type of series could work in the future of those said games. Because spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't played the games, 5, 4, 3, 2. who it actually ends like in the future. Like Lan has grown up and everything. So if anything, it might be able to focus on like him coaching a younger generation and him kind of showing them the ropes and something along those lines.
Yeah, and as I said, just I kind of wanted to focus on like different navies. It could be Mega Man story based on the NT universe kind of thing, where it's not necessarily focusing on Mega Man, but different navies. And again, you have to kind of come up with strategies. You don't get the style change or the soul fusion or cross fusion isn't the focus. It's focusing on the basics of net battling, where what the average person who has a PET and stuff can do instead of all the other stuff.
Yeah. I thought about saying something for Mega Man Star Force on this list, but I couldn't really think of anything at the moment. I kind of think it just works as is.
Well, I was just shocked that you said something at the start of this video that I was like, oh, I have that on my list.
I'm trying to plan out these intros a little better, or at least for today. Who knows? It could all fall apart by the next video.
That is very true.
But yeah, I could definitely see a more sports type feel for Mega Man. As long as we don't get the actual Navis playing like soccer or baseball against Mega Man for Sonic or anything or something stupid like that, I think I'll be okay with it.
Yeah, and I just think that it would be, I don't know. I had another little bit about it, but I can't remember what it was now.
All right, but yeah, I can co-sign.
All right. So your next one?
Okay, this is gonna be. We kind of got this for Pokemon, but we also kind of didn't. Like a shonen school type of genre for Pokemon.
Okay.
All right, so there was one episode in the Advanced series where it was they went to this school and it taught people how to battle, how to help and become a breeder for Pokemon, how to do contest stuff. And a school setting like that has always kind of intrigued me. Like you could teach a whole new generation of trainers. These are the different paths you could go on. They could take tests, make friends, all this other sorts of stuff. It just seems super weird how the anime is just stuck in one place of be the best trainer, be the best trainer. When I've said before, I wouldn't have the goal of being the best trainer. I would want to learn other aspects and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good idea because I mean, with the season, the Alola seasons that we got, when they focused on school, it was about studying Pokemon more than like learning different life lessons or life ways of living in the Pokemon world. So I think that could be interesting. Is like a couple episodes could involve like some people wanting to become gym leaders. That's actually their focus is they want to be one type and be a gym leader or something.
Exactly. And I want one episode where the cast basically you could do all the traveling companions or something and Ash show up and they're miserable because they're stuck in class because of that one movie where Ash had a nightmare and his nightmare was that he was in school. So I just want to see them suffer one episode. Oh, then the other classmates are like, "What's wrong with them? We're all suffering. We're just used to this, but this is new territory for you guys."
But I could the thing is I could see that like Ash suffering, but like everybody, all the traveling companions are like, oh, this is actually really good. Like Brock's like in the doctor program. There's program about like learning to be a contestant or like showing off your Pokemon more than battling. And May, Serena, and Dawn are really into that class and stuff. It could be really interesting. It's just like, and then there's Ash, who's in like the Pokemon training class, but it's like theoretical. It's not actually battling.
I chose Thunder Armor. That doesn't make any sense. A for creativity and an F for everything else.
Exactly, that sort of thing. And but they just like they show they literally try to recreate it, and it just like kills the Swallow.
Okay, but I want a dance class taught by Mirror B.
Of course, he would be the best teacher, and it's him and his Ludicolo are just like they don't even stand still during the intro to the class. It's just them dancing, and then then he just starts teaching.
Oh god. No, in all seriousness though, especially because I'm gonna be honest, I've been looking at the Pokemon manga a lot more lately. they're like I said, there aren't just people who want to be battlers, like there or contestants or any coordinators, whatever. There's a lot of different things. Like I said, Lucas and Barry from the manga, apparently they want to be a stand-up comedy duo. I don't know how you would teach a class on that, but you understand what I mean. There are different areas that you could do.
It wouldn't be a class, it'd be a after school club that they're the only two members of.
Oh God. I guess in that case, then Dawn from the manga would be like, "Hey, I'm here, but only because you guys are my bodyguards, and I have nothing better to do."
Yeah, I think this is actually one of my favorite ideas we've had so far.
Even a broken clock, I guess.
This would be really good, I think. I think because so I follow a YouTuber called Puffin Forest who talks about his like D&D and other campaigns, and they did a Pokemon school uh like tabletop RPG, and it had more focus of kind of combining their school elements and stuff. So that'd be kind of interesting to see like if there were like Team Rocket trying to steal Pokemon from the school or something, but kind of like that episode in the originals or in the advanced generation.
Yeah, yeah. But you mentioned D&D. I just envisioned Team Rocket deciding, okay, we're gonna steal your Pokemon. Wait, roll for it. They roll, like they see the dice, like you know what? Never mind. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Not today.
It's a natural zero.
Sure. I don't know the rule. I don't know the rules of D&D. I've never played.
I want to, but I haven't had a chance to. Well, I scratch that. Every time I've thought about it, I just haven't done it when I want to.
Apparently Jay and Reese play, but like I don't know. I don't know. Maybe someday. But overall, Pokemon in a like shonen school type situation. I said it kind of as a joke when I was putting it down, but now I'm kind of into that idea.
Yeah, I think you really are. That one's really onto something. Now, there looks to be school elements in the new series, but I don't know how much they're actually going to be a big part of it or not.
I couldn't tell you.
But we'll get to that maybe eventually once we have seen the series. All
Yeah,
right,
maybe.
so my next one,
Is this honorable mentions?
yeah,
Okay, good. Just wanted to be sure.
yeah, I have three honorable mentions this time.
Same here.
All right, so this is another one that kind of has elements of this, but I'll explain exactly kind of what I would want in this, and it's Bofuri. I didn't want to get hurt, so I maxed out my defense. Again, I know it's the one that you wouldn't care about, but I would like this series to be kind of the first part of the first season where she maxes out her defense so much that in the first kind of major gaming tournament that they have or gaming event where they're all supposed to attack each other, no one can hurt her. Her defense is so high. Uh, I just think that would be if it focused more on that because throughout the series she's gained more powers, so she's now able to attack and has other aspects to it. But I'd love it for her to just be just a series that kind of focuses on her with this maxed out defense, and there's always these tournaments, and she just always keeps winning because no one can actually hurt her. She can't. They just literally like run out of like their attack power or something and lose the battle because of it.
So, like a maybe more comedic or sports type feel to it. Is that what you're going for?
Kind of. And I again just it's just somewhat she has such overpowered defense and focus on the battle aspect because there's more of kind of exploring this big open VR game that's been created, but focus more on her defense where she's just I'm here, I'm literally a wall you have to keep trying to get past and literally have like aspects where if you use your attack too much, you can lose the battle because you don't actually do enough damage and stuff like that.
Or just double down on the isekai-ness from the sounds of it.
Yeah, again, I think it would just be a bit more fun. I know it's in season 2 right now. I've been watching it. I think that would be fun just to kind of watch that. But it's just an honorable mention because it's got aspects of that in it, but make that 100% the focus is kind of where I'm at.
I haven't seen the show. I don't have that much interest, but I guess I can co-sign. I can co-sign. I'm like I said, I want to give a couple of isekai a chance, but at the same time, I'm also just like I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of them all being kind of the same.
This one would probably be a good one because it has some episodes that have kind of a slice of life element. It doesn't have the dark, edgy, random, uh, like disgusting stuff that Sao has. So yeah, so I think this one would be a good one to if you want to get like the video game isekai style.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll give it a chance someday. But like I said, I guess I have to co-sign. I co-sign.
All right, so your next one.
All right, Lycoris Recoil, but instead of like an action slice of life type thing, I kind of would like it more of a psychological anime.
Okay.
All right, so the series is kind of just a bunch of orphan, basically a bunch of orphan teenage girls kind of operate. I'm not going to say as the police, but kind of as their own organization where they take out criminals, help people, and all that sort of thing. But this, to me, as much of a joke as this, just be like, oh, an orphan teenage girl? Yeah, let's give her a gun. Let's see what happens. In all seriousness, they've been training for a good majority of their lives. They've been dealing, like, basically all trained with shoot to kill sort of notions. Kind of getting a look inside their head could be kind of interesting, which is how they react to it. What happens to the girls who fail? What happens to the girls who decide they want to quit at some point? Because we haven't really gotten that so far. It could especially make it all the more powerful when you see someone like Chisato, who's super happy, bubbly, and shoots people, but she'll heal their injuries and everything. It could make it all the more impressive when we see how she turned out so happy and just pleasant to be around.
Yeah, that could be interesting just to see the different ways of how they each deal with the fact that they're shooting, killing people, heavily injuring people, and that's literally what they're trained to do. So it could be interesting to see. Like, I mean, you said that one person's very happy, so that's discovering that that's how they deal with this with their dark job that they have, but then have others that are dark and brooding and aren't able to be a happy person because of what they do for a living.
Exactly, especially because her best friend Takina, she kind of starts off like that, but thanks to Chisato, she becomes more friendly. And in the cafe she works in, people regularly go to her for advice or they talk to her. While just like I said, I like the more wholesome parts. I like the more or slice of life stuff where they're playing video games, going to the aquarium, and making desserts that look like actual piles of crap. But I don't know, something a little more like diving into people's psyches. It's an honorable mention because the show's coming back at some point, so it might do this. But just I don't know. I think it could be interesting.
Yeah, I'll co-sign. I haven't. I don't think you've talked about this show before, so
I have.
oh, okay. I mean, I'm giving Buddy Daddies a chance now, so we'll
Are you
see where if I
are
can.
you about to, or you've already started?
First three episodes are done, so I've met the mother for all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how this goes. I know the next episode's the one you talked about being not a good episode, if I'm not
E-
mistaken.
Episode 4, I love. Episode 6 is where things I'm like, episode 6 is not really my favorite.
Okay, so I'll enjoy the next episode probably, but I'll let you know what I think once I get either further into it or have seen the full series. I'll let you know.
I can't wait to talk more about those characters. But like I said, like Horse Recoil, psychological, that's basically it.
Okay. All right. So my next one.
Go for it.
All right. So, well, I mentioned it earlier. Sword Art Online. I think so. We've only really gotten two styles of games. We get the fantasy games and they do this gun gale, which is kind of using modern weapons. It has a few sci-fi elements in it, like they use a lightsaber at one point. But I'd like it to like SAO to have fully embrace a sci-fi setting, like starships, space battles, stuff like that. I think that kind of would be cool. A video game world that's all sci-fi, and I think that would be a really fun story to tell in of some people playing, kind of embrace the Star Trek Online, Eve Online, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic Online, one of those kind of style of games where it's an MMO VR and just tell that kind of story for a little while.
Would this have been after the first season or its own sort of side series?
I would say probably its own side series. Like I know that they did a sort of online alternative Gun Gale Online. So just have, but in this case, make it like fully embrace sci-fi. I don't know what they would call it, but I think it would be a fun. Those are the a lot of those are the MMOs that I played a lot of.
Okay, I don't know a lot about Sword Art Online, but can I kind of add to this?
Go right ahead.
The main character, Kirito, who's his
Mhm.
best friend who you say you would have liked him to get more out of?
Oh God, let me go back. Klein, I think is what he goes by as his gaming name. I'll just say that because I
Yeah,
don't remember his actual name.
I do Klein. Well, I can just call him Klein for this. But heck, it could even focus more about him being like, Kirito kind of surpassed me in terms of magic and spells and all this other sorts of stuff. So maybe it's a story of him, and maybe he brings along his group of friends you've told me about, and they
Mhm.
kind of take over, not necessarily take over, but they get stronger in the realm of technology and everything. So him and Kirito could have different philosophies, like magic versus technology. Obviously, they're not enemies, they seem like friends from what you told me, but just
Mhm.
different philosophies, and maybe there are times he and his friends could save the day.
That could be very interesting. I think because they're kind of leading up to what they're calling the final season. It's a
Hmm.
SAO. It'll probably keep getting new seasons even after. I have a feeling, but yeah, that'd be interesting. And he'd be a good character to, as I talked about, wanting to get more out of him. So getting a chance to focus on him and him being like the OP one in the game and getting the higher level skills in this sci-fi world would be kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I'm on a roll today.
Yeah. So, but again, SAO with a sci-fi world rather than fantasy or kind of just modern.
If all this stuff actually happens, let me know, and I might actually give that season a chance.
I'll let you know. I'll also tell you probably if there's anything bad in that season.
Just skip episode 7. I'll be like, I believe you. I believe you.
Yeah, I've already told you twice that it has two of the worst episodes in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
and I don't think that you've ever said anything about the best episodes, but I could be wrong.
there's some enjoyable episodes, but yeah, just when they have bad episodes, they're bad episodes.
I understand. But yeah, I can co-sign.
All right, your next honorable mention.
All right, mine is for Sonic X No, just kidding. Sonic Sonic X as an adventure series.
Okay, so kind of exploring the different worlds we see in the games.
Exactly. Heck, even in the last couple, the like second half of the season of the series, they're kind of in space dealing with these other enemies, and every now and then teaming up with Eggman. In my mind, that's when the show gets interesting. And that's when we meet different types of characters. Like we meet Team Chaotix, and and as we all know, they're flipping amazing. But I just feel like the show picked up when they went to space and started dealing with more serious stuff. Sure, it was still comedic. Like we had Team Chaotix trying to get Tails and I don't remember her name, and into some romantic setting, but Team Chaotix just trip on their own 2 feet and stuff like that. But like I said, I just felt like the show got more interesting at that point while still keeping some comedic parts about it.
I can see it because it almost seems like I don't know if you've seen the Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 movies that have come out recently.
Yes.
So kind of embracing that aspect of explore, but using like the rings to explore or traveling by ship to explore the different worlds. So you can see Green Hills, but it's more normal, and then maybe another world that's like what we see in some like the original Sonic games with loops and stuff in random places.
Yeah, heck, there could be a whole like 2, maybe 3 episode part about them on hoverboards because I love Sonic Riders.
Oh my god, I love that game as well. I'd love because the first one was GameCube and then the second one was Wii, if I remember correctly. It was right
Some
about that time.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I liked the first one more, but that I only kept renting it from Blockbuster.
I like the second one because of its story, and plus I love the zero gravity stuff you can do. For all the talk, sidebar, for all the talk about hoverboards and people buying those little motorized things that they ride wheels on, I don't care about those. Give me the Sonic X ones where we can just where we can just ride to work or ride to school with those things. Those would be amazing.
God, those were so popular, like our junior year of college.
Yeah, I judge. I judge. So if you ever rode one and I saw you, just know I was judging you.
I just remember I came out of one of my classes and like outside that like every plug had like them plugged in charging.
Oh my
It was like my one class that year on the main campus.
Oh gosh. Yeah, but in all honesty, a more adventure type feel, especially with how with how the lore of kind of the Sonic the Hedgehog with all these other worlds and levels and games they have. Just don't make it super dark and depressing like Sonic Frontiers, because that to me that wasn't it.
I can understand that. I'll co-sign. I think that could be an interesting story because there are so many worlds available, and they're kind of doing that with I think it's called Sonic Prime or something. There's something whatever's on Netflix
Oh,
now.
oh, okay. I might have to check that out.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first part. I think they're working on part two now.
Okay,
All right, so my next honorable mention and should be my last, right?
go for it.
So, how a realist hero rebuilt the kingdom. It could embrace the whole power fantasy that isekai usually does, where the people are brought and get overpowered. But I'd like it more if he was um, kind of embracing the because they're battling the demon army. If it was more of, well, I came to this world and I was supposed to be the hero and get all these extra powers, but I didn't, and now I have a very strategic mind and am able to defeat them on the battlefield constantly and start kind of pushing them back, kind of like what the I think it's called the Empire in the world is doing, but it's he does it instead, where he's using his army to uh, push back the demons.
So like a strategy war based anime? Because I'm saying this because I don't really know the show all that well.
Yeah, I mean, there's our war, but I think focusing on like him being a strategist against the demon army would be really cool. So yeah, a strategy kind of story.
Yeah, I can definitely vibe with that. Had a, if they did took your idea with that, I like I said, I might be like, oh, well, maybe give this a chance. It sounds cool.
Yeah, again, that's the I guess part of the problem with isekais. A lot of them are end up being power fantasies, which, as I said, this could be, but I think I would prefer it as a strategy, kind of discovering like, oh, this demon attacks this way, so if I send my troops in this formation, we'll get them surrounded and defeat them
Yeah.
easily.
Well, they're either that or they're also sadly harem anime because yeah.
Well, that is the other, yeah. So again, I'm slowly, I think, getting tired of the basic isekais. I talk about the same ones over and over again, but haven't really given all of them a chance anymore.
To be fair, I wouldn't know because they all kind of sound the same. So I'd just be like, oh, this must be a new one he's working on. Oh, it's not? Oh, well. Not like I'm gonna know this next time anyway.
As I said, I've been given more of the ones that are different a chance lately. So
Yeah. Heck, don't feel too bad. There is a show that you've talked about a lot that I'm probably starting sometime within the next few days.
okay,
Yeah.
but what's your next honorable mention?
All right. Once again, I can co-sign. And my last honorable mentions: Osamake, rom-com where the childhood friend won't lose, but do it as a seinen.
Sign it.
It's like young adult,
Okay, so make
as
them like
opposed to
college
teen.
age.
You could, yeah, you could do college age and not really change all that much. You could honestly keep them in high school, but I guess to me the point is the romance stuff. To me, when you start the first few times you watch it, it's like cool, but after a while it kind of starts to get tedious. But a lot of them focus on like acting and singing and musicals and stuff like that. They do a music video one day, and the song they do is actually really good. But I guess to me, when they focus on like the acting, the musicals and stuff like that, that's when the show is interesting. Sure, the comedic moments are cool and you can keep a lot of those, but just a more focus on like the industry and like what people do with that sort of thing rather than simply oh well I have 8 childhood friends and they all have crush on me. What to do?
Okay. So focus more on like there is a little bit of romance, but it's more focused on them as this music group kind of thing, by the sounds of it.
Something like that. Everybody kind of seems to have a different goal in that regard, and you could honestly focus on that. But you could also kind of focus on the trauma because the main character, or Maru, he quit acting. He acted a lot when he was younger, but he quit because his mom, the person who inspired him to do that, passed away, and he kind of just hasn't really been feeling in the acting bug lately. So maybe a little more of a serious focus on that, which they do in a really good episode, but just I don't know, maybe a little more.
Okay, so it sounds like you're again, I don't know much about the series. I assume it's just like slice of life, school romance, but give it a bit more drama and stuff in it, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I can go. So again, I don't know the series. It's not really my cup of tea, so I don't. Well, probably I don't think I'll watch this one.
I understand. Heck. If somebody were to ask me, well, who do you want him to end up with? I'm like, it's oddly enough somebody who hasn't even been teased all that much. But that's another video for another day.
Yeah, it sounds like one that you'll do for one of your what do you call them? I forgot.
The commentaries?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a video we've been talking about for a while. It's a video we've been talking about for a while. I'm just trying to hype it up so when people see it, they'll be like, "Oh, it's this video," and then they'll watch it and be like, "Oh, never mind, this was trash."
Okay. I think I know which video you're talking about because I saw it while I was flipping through my lists, getting this list prepared.
Oh, goody. We'll talk about it more afterwards. Anyways, what's your last anime that you think could be a different genre if done right?
So you actually kind of changed my mind a little bit on this one. I had it as fairy tale being a school slash slice of life, but it could, I think it would be really good at in that chibi style. It's already
Oh,
got a
okay.
little bit of the comedic, but embracing that style of like. But I was trying to decide if I wanted like. I think I would want all the characters to be in school with like their homeroom teacher being their guild master and them having to interact with like the other guilds or different classes and maybe it's leading up to the sports festival or something for the school and all the classes want to compete so against each other. I think that would be really cool. Like you could even get rid of some of the magic elements where it's just like it's all in their head kind of like have this be almost like late elementary school students competing against each other. So they,
So they're
I
all a bunch of chunibyo?
sure,
Oh God.
but just chibi at the sports festival, they're thinking they have like if I like Natsu's thinking he's if I use my fire, I'll be able to run faster. And Grace like, well, I'll just make it the ground ice so I can skate across the ground faster and stuff like that for like running and just. But everybody thinks they have these different powers. It would be, I think it could be a really fun, cute show that they could do.
Gray shows up without a shirt, and people just don't question it. And someone finally asks, like, "Dude, why don't you wear a shirt? Because of my powers." Yeah, but if we don't have magic as much, you can wear a shirt, right? Uh, uh what? You can. Never mind.
I just think it would be a cute little show that they could do, and the characters interacting still have like that kind of dynamic of different rivalries, but have like um and they could even kind of tell like the stories like what was it, the fairy tale versus I forgot what the name of the other guild is, but um where they introduced several main characters that are part of an enemy guild that join their guild later and have it like their teacher gets administrative leave after yelling at his students or something and ends up so they end up having to join uh the the fairy tale class and stuff and
Fine,
just
but I want an episode where the rival school is the cast of Eden Zero.
I could see that happening because they do a lot of crossovers between like usually it's just in the background but legit have them in the series and interact, which would be hilarious, I think.
Like that episode of Blue Mountain State where they had the rival school show up, and Thad had that player on the other team who was exactly like him. It's like, oh god, there are two Thads. Lovely.
Isn't that your dream though? Is to have two Thads in the world?
No, my goal is to have just everybody. Everybody is Thad.
Okay.
The world would fall apart within an hour. But yeah, in all seriousness, I do think there might be a little bit of a risk of taking out some of the magic, no pun intended, of Fairy Tale. But at the same time, for a little series, I think it might be able to work.
Yeah, as I said, just have it kind of a school setting. As I said, pretty much do what happened in Attack on Titan Junior High or something like that. So I think that could be cool.
Yeah. And by the way, that was a lie. The pun was fully intended.
Okay.
But yeah, I can co-sign. I would like this version of Fairy Tale. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think this would be the one that you would give a shot.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right. So your next one or your
All
final
right.
one?
My last one. This is kind of a cheat. I kind of had to work around this one because it kind of feels like cheating, but it also kind of doesn't. And I want a slice of life slash odd couple slash maybe 80s sitcom version of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I will co-sign right away.
Okay. Okay, a little background for you guys, because we all know, like, dropping the facade, dropping the joke. We all know Dio's a monster. He's done some pretty awful stuff throughout his life, and we want Jonathan to kick his ass. But when we first heard about this show from our friend Reese, he was always telling us, "Oh, you're playing J Stars, yes. Oh, they have Jonathan from JoJo's." I'm like, yeah, sure." I'm like, "Oh, you need to watch JoJo's." And he told us this scene about how Dio kissed Arena, or yeah, that's what happened. And at one point, Jonathan screamed Dio at the top of his lungs, like, Dio, that sort of thing. But the way he described it did not think, oh my god, Dio better watch out because Dio's gonna get wrecked. The way Reese screamed it, to me, sounded like Dio left the milk out and it went bad. That's why Jonathan's upset.
Exactly. I kind of pictured that scene where I don't know if you've seen it, where the guy's opening the cabinets and it's like, who put the milk in the cabinet?
Yes. It's like the cart Dio. It's like Dio. The carton's empty. Why is it still in the fridge? To remind you to buy more. You could buy more. Yeah, but you could buy the kind I like. You could buy the kind you like. Like, oh yeah. By the way, you should take the trash out in the garbage disposal. The garbage disposal explodes. It's like, you should fix that. And Jonathan screams, "Dio, Dio!" In all honesty, it's just ridiculous enough that you might be able to work. Especially thinking, wow, this is a horrible person, but now he just seems like kind of an inconvenience some days.
Yeah, so just I guess we're just talking about the first season series because there's so many different ones. Maybe they get introduced later on as new characters, but right now focusing on Dio and Jonathan as the main ones.
Exactly. And the whole time, Arena could be like, you could just move in with me, and he's like, I'll stay with the, maybe there's some reason why they're living together, but just the idea that someone sadistic and as scary as Dio turns out to just be an inconvenience from an 80s sitcom.
And we could even embrace our joke of the Dio's not the bad guy. He was saving her life from drowning when she was in the puddle. Like,
oh, God.
In this series, she literally was drowning, and he's giving her mouth to mouth, and Jonathan sees it and thinks that he's just kissing her, but Dio's actually saving her life. It's like the one good thing Dio does.
Yeah. I think this could work as a slice of life. Heck, Reese and I talked about it, and we decided the show would be called "Oh That Dio."
I would watch it. I think I would. I kind of want to give JoJo's a chance. For me, the animation's so different that it's thrown me off a few times, but I'm starting to get to the point where I think I'll give it a shot soon.
I mean, there was a version in like the 90s. You could try that one, but I don't really think that one helps much. I don't know anybody who prefers that version.
No, I want to give the current one that's still ongoing because it's on like part 13.
Something like that. I was doing some research for this, and I learned so much about JoJo's just from looking at images. I'm like, oh, this happens. Oh, that happens. Oh, I liked it. Oh, wait, no, I didn't like him. Never mind.
Yeah. So, but yeah, as I said, I'll co-sign. I think, especially with the jokes we've made, that we could embrace JoJo's as a sitcom style comedy more story.
You mean with all the jokes we make about it?
Yeah, but they still do like the posing.
Well, obviously, and every episode ends with Jonathan chasing Dio around the set. Heck, one episode you could even say, "Oh, that Dio was performed in front of a live studio audience," but then they immediately kill that joke because laugh tracks are kind of a nuisance sometimes.
Exactly.
But anyways, we co-sign on to that. Is there anything else, or can we close out?
I think we can close out. I think this is like one of our first times where we pretty much agree on everything.
Yeah, and it's one of I actually enjoyed doing this video a lot more than I thought we would. So, ladies, gentlemen, and others, are there any anime that you like or even dislike that you think could have been better if under a different genre? A comedy that could have been a drama that could have been a comedy, just anything at all.
Exactly. And do you agree with all of our choices, or do you think some of these are just better the way they are currently?
Yeah, and if you say Sonic X is a harem or romance, no, we will probably block you from commenting on this channel.
Yeah, he's the only one who has access right now because I created it, but then I completely forgot everything about how to get in.
Yep. That's the channel. That's our genes at work. But anyways, be sure to let us know, like, comment, subscribe, and all that other nonsense. And we will see you next time. This has been Alex.
And Richard.
And you have been listening to the Anime Egotists. Good night, and peace easy.